Welcome, everybody. I think people are sauntering in gradually as they grab their beverages. I don't know how I got roped into this, but here we are. I get to announce my own roast. How's that work? Yeah, I have one request of the audience. The more embarrassing it gets for me, the more drinks you can pass to me up on stage so I can endure it all. There's some dangerous people backstage, which I fully know have dirt on me. But I'm going to first announce and introduce our roast master, Mr. Adam O'Brien. Please come to the stage. Give him a round of applause.
Hello, everyone. Looking forward to a fun afternoon. I'm going to introduce all of our roasters. This only really works if the energy in the room is sky high. So if you want to get to your feet and start rounds of applause for our roasters. First up, we've got Missing Man. Dave, Bradley, you around? He'll come eventually. Did we tell him we were starting? This is off to a great start.
Leave it to the organizer of the conference, who's the first to be announced, to not be present in the room.
You know what? I told Dave that I actually prepared for this, and he's not here, so I think that shows what kind of man he is. But next, please welcome to the stage, Mr. Nico. After Nico, we have childhood friend of Ben, Dave Hardman. Next, we have C-Funk. Woohoo! Yeah. Keep that applause going. Next, we have Mr. Colin Sullivan. Come on out. And then finally, we've got a guest of honor, Mr. JP Sears. Woohoo! Awesome. It is mildly concerning that Dave's not here. He was looking forward to this, so I'm not sure where he went, but we're gonna power through so we don't have to sit here and suffer longer than it already will be. As was said, my name is Adam. I am going to be the roast master this afternoon. This is what I think is the first ever roast at a Bitcoin conference. So I think a round of applause for that, to the Bitcoin Rodeo. This is pretty exciting. And I'm not sure there's a better person to roast than our tutorial goat himself, Mr. BTC Sessions. What a hero for being up here. With every good system, there's a set of rules, but absolutely no rulers. And so that means today, this afternoon, for the rest of the event here, absolutely anything can happen. I'm going to be, as far as structure goes, I'll be introducing our roasters as they come up. They will come up and expose Ben for the man that he was and probably still is. And then we can all laugh at Ben's expense, which should be pretty awesome. There is a thread right now, or there should be a thread. Hey, don't clap. Nope. There is a thread on X. Is it on the Bitcoin Rodeo Twitter thread? There should be a thread on X that we should all build on. So if you're laughing, as you are laughing and crying at these wannabe comedians here trying to roast this basic white man in Bitcoin, the most basic white boy in Bitcoin, I want you to share that with the world.
It'll also really help me figure out who to block.
So. Right, yes. In fact, he will not be blocking anyone because I'm going to take control. No, just kidding. But as you've noticed, there are no real well, there is one real comedian here on the stage. I should qualify as there's one YouTube comedian here on the stage with us. Basically the Dogecoin equivalent of real comedians. So please, with no real comedians, please keep laughing. We need to give these people some of the crowd confidence, encourage them. This is a big deal. Nico and I were talking about this earlier. He's like, and I may be outing him here, I have not prepared for anything so much in my life. So here we are. Thank you all for coming to the first Bitcoiner roast in the history of Bitcoin conferences. So let's go. First things first, I do want to touch on just what it means to be roasted, because you don't get to roast just anybody. And that's kind of what makes a roast so special. Only a tight group of people sharing this common goal with common values that can get together and say horrible things about each other in public. And isn't it in typical Bitcoiner fashion that we're here to sacrifice our beloved blonde-tipped, stupid sunglass-wearing micro-celebrity here in Calgary, Alberta during an event called the Bitcoin Rodeo? What an absolute honor. Honestly, these people are going to come up here and say that Ben's a good sport for coming up here and taking the beating. And honestly, he just straight up had no choice. We have all dedicated our lives to orange pilling the globe, shifting the Overton window. Shout out Nico. And we needed an outlet to honor our pioneers. Because believe it or not, this is one of the greatest honors you can have, is being in the public eye, to come in front of your peers and have a great time here on the stage. It showcases a level of confidence and a security in your beliefs that is unmatched by a mere mortal no-coiner. And Ben would know. He is living proof that Bitcoin can change anybody in the world. Because before Bitcoin, Ben was a metrosexual, proud shitcoin trading communist. See, I met Ben in 2015 or maybe 2016 or so. And this was before his YouTube days, and I had a Bitcoin ATM here in Calgary, and Ben was a local, one of the only local Bitcoin enthusiasts. And we were chatting, and he needed some help. He offered to give me some help, and I thought, oh, great, local Bitcoiner, like, what do you do? He goes, well, I'm a dancer. I was like, okay. That's, we're starting somewhere, you're there. He said, well, I teach kids to dance. I was like, okay, so you can teach, this is good. We start working together a little bit. He starts actually doing a pretty good job. We're getting to know each other. And he says, hey, I actually think I want to host and showcase a Bitcoin event. We'll call it the BTC sessions. I thought, hey, this is great. What do you think the BTC sessions should be? How are you gonna do this? I'm thinking workshops, technical wallet setups, nodes, like what are we gonna do? All the stuff he does today. He says, well, when I'm not dancing, I'm the singer in a boy band a cappella group. And I thought we would perform and everyone can tip us in Bitcoin. Hardman, I don't know why you're laughing, bro. You were up there. I thought, yeah, that's a really good idea. You should do that. I did not think it would be a success, but the event was pretty good. Almost 10 people were there to watch Ben and his 4 friends put their arms around each other and sing along to some songs. Not quite how I thought about introducing my friends and family to Bitcoin, but to each their own. But then he fires up his YouTube channel. And this is not the YouTube channel that we know and love today. It was kind of like a budget version of Casey Neistat. But it was working. He's gaining traction, he's working out, he starts throwing away his Justin Trudeau posters, he's stacking sats, little less dancing, little more Bitcoin, little less singing with grown men, little more Bitcoin tutorials. Things are looking pretty good. And then one day, he shows up with this stupid blonde tip in his hair. And I don't know if you can ever take the communism out of the man, but we will try to take the man out of the communism. But in all seriousness, being the subject of a roast highlights a level of maturity held only by the likes of the true greats of our generation. We've got Bob Saget, Donald Trump, Kevin Hart, Justin Bieber, more recently, Tom Brady. So Ben, welcome. Welcome to a list of washed up celebrities trying to cling to the power that once was.
Well, thank you, I think.
All right, that's it from me. We've got time for the roast to actually begin. Our first roaster is a man that I've known for quite a while. He can probably take credit for helping me kickstart Bitcoin Solutions, which has turned into Bitcoin Well, #1 Bitcoin platform in Canada and the USA at bitcoinwell.com. Of course, it's talking about Mr. Dave Bradley. The best way that I've found to describe Dave actually includes a bit of a short story about a time that I wanted to get a new pet. This is a few years ago, and I wanted a jellyfish. And my assistant at the time decided that she would embark on this task of getting a jellyfish. They're actually banned here in Alberta for reasons which are pretty non-obvious. And she gives me, for my birthday comes, and she gives me this tank. We got it all set up, and we're waiting for the jellyfish to come. I'm like pretty excited, jellyfish, pretty cool. And amongst the excitement, she goes, well, what are their names gonna be? Immediately, I said, Dave. And she went, well, why would you call your jellyfish Dave? I said, they're a heartless, brainless creature that is somehow alive and no one really knows how or why. And just to set the stage and clear the air a little bit, It's likely that some of you have heard of Dave as the self-proclaimed strongest and best-looking Bitcoin entrepreneur. And I like to give Dave a chance to talk about that. However, I was giving him the gears about this one day, and he said, well, yes, and I've been thinking a lot about this, and basically it comes down to, if someone can prove that they are more handsome than me, then they have to also be stronger than me. And I thought, well, yes, that is true. However, that is also the same of Shrek. And so, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Shrek of Bitcoin, Dave Bradley.
Thank you. Well, I want to thank Adam for the intro, and I want to say from the very bottom of my heart that we almost needed a milk crate for him to stand on here. And you can tell that Adam is a true Bitcoiner because his hairline cuts in half every 4 years. And Adam's widely known for his enthusiasm in his Bitcoin YouTube videos, and I decided to look up a picture to find some of that enthusiasm. And this picture. This is how hard it was for me to find. This is 1 second into the first video I clicked, and unfortunately, you guys all know what Adam's face looks like when he comes now. So we've got an amazing group here. I'm really happy to see so many awesome friends and new friends that have all gathered here to make fun of our friend's hair. We've got JP Sears here. He's a very famous comedian. Yeah. One thing that I learned in promoting this conference, I've been talking up JP Sears. We got JP Sears. Nobody knows JP Sears' name. Everybody knows his face, right? You show them JP Sears, they're like, oh, I fucking love that guy. But, if I looked like that, I'd probably rather people remember my name than my face. And we've got a pseudo-anonymous internet celebrity here, C-Funk, who's joined us. Very rarely seen. And the Ordinals conference in Nashville coming up. They got Donald Trump and Russell Brand and a few other big names, but we have like an internet cat. So it's going pretty well. And so Ben is like, in some ways, Ben is really hard to roast, but he's also easy to roast, right? He's such a nice, genuine guy. It makes it hard to feel good about saying mean things about him. But there's like a lot of stuff about him that's like honestly very easy to roast. And so I wanted to make sure that I went first so I could take like all of the easy jokes. And with that in mind, I've got a drinking game in mind. So if anybody makes fun of Ben's hair or calls him gay, we all take a drink. And we're like, I feel like after Adam's thing, we're like 3 drinks behind right now. So when I met Ben, like Adam mentioned, Ben was a dance instructor. And Ben used to dance on cruise ships. And that's not a gay joke because a lot of straight guys dance on cruise ships. But so Ben's best defense against gay jokes, and I have seen many of you probably seen this on Twitter multiple times. Somebody calls Ben gay, he's like, I'm gonna just post a picture of my hot wife. That'll settle this, like boom. But the problem is, like, when Ben and Lisa are in public, like, people often think that she might have been kidnapped because she's so far out of his league. So, like, Lisa, if you're a victim of human trafficking, blink 3 times. So we're also joined by Colin Sullivan. So Colin is from Vancouver, and he has an MBA. I honestly don't have any roasts for that, but like that's fucking horrible, and I'm sorry. And look at those shoes. So we've also got Dave Hardman here. Dave, I can see your knuckles are kind of scratched. Did you walk here? I literally stole that joke from a roast of Shaq. and we got Nico from Simply Bitcoin, very well-known Bitcoiner. Nico's joining us from Miami, the beautiful city of Miami. And Nico is literally Florida man. So Nico saw Ben's hair. You can't really tell right now. Nico's got just a little tip there on his hair. But if you didn't know, Nico saw Ben's hair and he copied it. So Nico was literally like, that, yeah, that is also what I want my hair to look like. And that's got to be like the most Florida man shit that I have ever heard that does not involve an alligator. And so we got to go back though to the man of the hour, Bitcoin Seacrest, and and the thing is, so we all know Ben, we all love Ben, and Ben's been a fixture of the Bitcoin community for about a decade. But the problem is, like, back in the day, it was actually a lot harder to get to the point of being a Bitcoin maximalist. There was no Bitcoin standard. There wasn't like hundreds of hours of Breedlove and Saylor talking to each other about hard money. And so a lot of us had to learn the hard way that all of the shitcoins and all of the other things out there were not the way to go. Presented without comment. Hopefully, we have a video that's about to show up on the screen of Ben dancing at a Litecoin conference. No, that's not the right one.
Oh no. Now I know there's going to be many accompaniments to this whole experience.
Like, we can just wait and watch this. It's not going to get better. Let's go. And so that's also not a gay joke. But I think Ben, honestly, may have single-handedly killed Litecoin, because I don't think anyone has mentioned Litecoin between now and then. But yeah, in conclusion, Ben, I love you. I'm grateful to have known you for the last 10 years and for all the things you've brought into my life and into the Bitcoin community, and for everything that you've done for Bitcoin. I promise not to steal your wife. For now.
Don't worry, everyone. Ben will get a chance to have some rebuttals afterwards, but I think we're going to hopefully get him drunk enough that he doesn't remember them all. All right. This next roaster, honestly, I didn't quite know where to begin, because the first time I met this man, he was standing right here on this stage, and we were discussing on a panel the importance of self-custody and why only self-custody platforms are the most important thing. And to my surprise, he was defending custodial platforms. Bro, it's easier. Bro, they're pretty safe. Bro, my family wouldn't be that comfortable self-custodying. I'm like, is this man even a Bitcoiner or just a moderately talented YouTuber trying to LARP on the Bitcoiner audience? It's like we have the discount Mr. Beast about to roast the discount MKB HD. But honestly, I don't blame Nico for his thoughts and feelings. He was literally working for a dumpster fire of a custodial Bitcoin company and didn't really know what a real Bitcoiner was supposed to look like. And then he came to Canada and he met me. And now he represents the only automatic self-custody Bitcoin platform in the USA, bitcoinwell.com. Talk about shifting the Overton window. No, but for real, it's been an absolute pleasure getting to know Nico more and more over the last year. He's one of the hardest working men that I know, a man incredibly passionate about bringing responsible Bitcoin ownership to the world. But what would we expect from the shorter, fatter, Latina version of BTC sessions? Ladies and gentlemen, Nico Moran.
Yo! What's up, everybody? Like, when Dave initially reached out to me, he's like, Nico, we're gonna roast Ben. I was like, I got so excited. And then I realized, like, holy shit, why would you ask a bunch of half-autistic internet nerds to make jokes about each other? Let's see what happens. Anyways, hi, I'm Nico Moran, host of Simply Bitcoin, but you all know that. I'm not saying that because I have a relatively, maybe slightly successful daily Bitcoin live show, but because I know everyone on this panel has either heard or talked shit about me at some point. Just kidding, I'm in Canada. Anyways, Simply Bitcoin has had an amazing year, transformative year, but not more transformative than the Oilers. What the fuck happened there, bro? Not a single Miami person expected that to happen, and neither did they know who the fuck the Panthers were 3 weeks ago. You got beat by a city that hasn't seen snow practically any time in its history. We took the Stanley Cup and we fucking dunked it in the ocean. The most Miami shit possible. But anyways, I can't talk too much shit about the Oilers because Adam O'Brien is the CEO of Bitcoin Well, and Bitcoin Well is the sponsor of Simply. So this roast, this part of the roast is actually brought to you by bitcoinwell.com/simplybtc. You have to go right there. Anyways, Adam, thank you so much for believing in Simply, a belief that is mostly fueled by your hatred of Corey and Swan. But you know what they say, the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. So I'm happy to be a part of your schemes. I see that JP Sears is in the house. Let's give him a round of applause, everybody. I had no idea that we had the kind of pull to get a B-level actual comedian with millions of subscribers on this roast. But here we are. Obviously, it's a sign of the bull market and what's happening. But it's totally kind of unfair that he's here because, I mean, he's a professional. So initially, I was going to make fun of him for being a ginger, but I also realized that there's a lot of gingers in Canada. Then I thought I could make fun of him for his new conservative cartoon on YouTube, but then I realized that probably nobody in this room has watched it. By the way, he's taking donations. Bro, might as well ask for it in Bitcoin. At least you'll make the embarrassment worthwhile. All right, and now for the people I don't know shit about. But before I do that, I do want to give a shout out to JP. JP, I love your skits, and I can't wait for you to become a bigger part of the Bitcoin family. You're an extremely talented content creator. And as a YouTuber that's only been doing this, you know, a fraction of the time you've been doing it, we look up to YouTubers like you, man. So keep kicking ass. Anyways, now for the best part, the people that I know absolutely shit about. First, I'm going to start with Colin. Colin, your name sounds like a cross between a New York Times opinion writer and a supervillain. Never mind, I just realized those are the same things. Dave Hardman. I was told the only time he smiles was when he's on Twitter. I guess the only thing harder than your name is your sense of humor. Dave Bradley. The only thing I was told about you was that you spent millions of dollars on your basement redecoration, and that you're the strongest, best looking entrepreneur in Bitcoin in Canada. Honestly, both things are a flex, but one of them is a complete lie. Adam is the best looking Bitcoin entrepreneur, and I'd just like to remind everyone that this part of the roast is sponsored by bitcoinwell.com/simplybtc. Yellow would call me a corporate Bitcoiner for this, but of course, he isn't here. Motherfucker shows up every day to play Don't Stop Believing for an audience of 12 people. He flew all the way to El Salvador, but couldn't make a real-life appearance. I guess he didn't drink enough Red Bull. Fucking Malacca. He made this meme of Ben and I that C-Funk is going to use for her roast because she's good value yellow. Just kidding. C-Funk, the fact that you're a girl in Bitcoin makes you a rare sat in the community. Useful to some people, but useless to most.
Oh, no. Oh, God. Shit
Now, finally, the man of the hour, Mr. BTC Sessions. Ben, we've touched tips many times before.
I think everybody needs to drink now.
But we all know whose is bigger. Oh, no. They'll say it's gay that you were in an a cappella group. Drink. But it's because it's true. And everyone always forgets how every chick in the world sweats a guy in a boy band with hair like Justin Bieber. Lisa. Anyways, yesterday we were at the Sat Market. Ben's daughter was, she was bragging to people that her dad was a famous Bitcoin influencer. She was completely unaware that she was bragging about a bunch of internet nerds. Hopefully in a couple years, maybe she doesn't come to realize. Anyways, the road to NSYNC to become a Bitcoiner must have been a long and confusing one, which is why I believe you got into tutorials. I never forget when my wife and I were at a Malibu Pacific Bitcoin beach house after party, and I told her we were going to Ben's workshop, which she interpreted as another party. We are from Miami after all. She showed up 5 glasses of wine in, expecting a DJ, but all she got was Ben going over how to use a cold card. The look of disappointment she had must have been the way Lisa feels every time she hears Ben's porn theme song to BTC Sessions. Dave and Ben, thank you so much for having us here. We love you, but remember, the best promo code in Bitcoin is bitcoinwell.com/simplybtc. Dave, initially when I heard you wanted to do this, I thought it was a retarded idea. Let's see what happens. Anyways, thank God JP here. JP is here. Nico Moran over and out.
Oh, man.
Good job, Brian. Little dick left me hanging there. This next roaster, frankly, is a bit of a shock to me to even see at a Bitcoin event, let alone on stage at a Bitcoin event. As I told you earlier, the event that Ben wanted to throw, the BTC sessions, the first and thankfully only BTC session. It might surprise you by looking at him, but this big bald ogre was actually one of the backup singers at the BTC session. And I want to know what has to happen to you as a child that you think joining an all-boy a cappella group in your 30s is the move. But to Mr. Hardman's credit, it was kind of the move. Because of his pitchy harmony, he was introduced to Bitcoin in 2017. Now, unfortunately for Dave, his path of poor decisions didn't quite end there. Didn't end at the boy band. Despite having early exposure, getting free Bitcoin at the BTC session, and having the BTC sessions as a lifelong best friend, he still thought Bitcoin was a scam and ignored the obvious signs for years. And not like, I'm just not gonna buy any, thought it was a scam. He was actually very mad, and I'm pretty sure personally despised me and went out of his way to hold a grudge against Bitcoin. But as it does, and as we've seen, Bitcoin changes people. See, I didn't see Dave for a few years. I'm not convinced that he wouldn't have punched me in the face if I had. But then, at the Bitcoin conference in Miami in 2021. I was outside in the rain at some dancing event thing. Not like what Ben was doing, but like at a club. It's way dumber than it sounds and looks in the movies. And I saw the coolest shoes I had ever seen. It was a fresh pair of white Nike AF1s with a Bitcoin sitting on a rocket ship painted on kind of the back heel. And as Dave Bradley kindly pointed out, I am relatively short, generally looking at the shoe height of people. And I caught a glimpse of these shoes. And as my eyes traveled up to see who was wearing the shoes, who did I see but Big Dave Hardman, who previously I thought wanted to punch me in the face for not giving him the right Bitcoin advice. He looked at me and he knew he had some explaining to do being in a Bitcoin event. And he just looked at me and said, "I'm Bitcoiner now." So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dave Hardman to the stage.
Oh, this is exciting. Oops. Yeah, that Bitcoin that you told me that night, I actually went into a hot tub and forgot my phone in my pocket and I lost it all. True story.
Big guy, no hot tub.
Yeah. Yeah, so the rumors are true about the boy band. Ben and I, we actually met in the year Y2K. It's like 24 years going on now. And we were in the Young Canadians School of Performing Arts back then. And boy bands were all the rage at the time, NSYNC and Backstreet Boys. So that's how we started our friendship. And the a cappella group lasted quite a while, actually, about 15 years or so. But when Ben was talking about, who has dirt on him, I went through the archives. I pulled out a hard drive from 2008 to try to find what I could. But, we have lots of amazing stories, and I'm not gonna make you look bad up here. So, some that come to mind was, streaking down a hill, stark naked. Ben rolls his ankle and tumbles through the thistles, hurting himself. It was funny for me, anyway. We would do our annual road trip to West Edmonton Mall, and we'd take weeks to grow handlebar mustaches and go there with our Speedos in a group of about 6 guys and do loud lunges across the pool and jump shots. Yeah. So the idea of coming out here after, especially with him, kind of onboarding me into Bitcoin and, changing my wet diaper every time I freaked out with it, I owe him all kinds of gratitude. So it feels strange, to insult the man here today feels like, giving a golden retriever puppy a Boston crab, but I'm ready to do it. So back then, when we were in the a cappella fellas, none of us really were all that organized. We'd be coming up on the next song, and what note does this start on? I don't know. So Ben took the initiative to start keeping track of those types of things. He kind of gave him like the group manager at the time. So he was the blower of the pitch pipe. But since now the group is defunct, he mostly just blows his sponsors. And by the sound of it, Nico gets a good mouthful too. But if you think that was bad, you should have seen pre-Bitcoin Ben. He was really hurting for cash, so. That guy would hawk Tua for bus fare and walk home. Recently this year, the 100 push-ups a day to 100 push-ups a day to 100K trend started to roll around on Twitter, and Ben wanted to get on board with it right away, but he didn't really understand what the meaning of the hashtag meant, so he promptly started to try on his vast assortment of push-up bras. Ben recently tweeted as well, speaking of push-ups. He was talking about, wanting to get in shape. So trying to hold myself accountable here. Need you guys to keep me in check. Clean eating, more challenging workouts, and absolute consistency. If I'm not far better in better shape, next time you see me in person, call me out on it. Opportunity knocks. Let's see your guns, Ben. Show us the...
I'm beside JP Sears. Come on, man.
Yeah. I've seen bigger lumps in oatmeal. You make Yuval Harari look like The Rock. I thought, I don't really contribute much to this space, but I thought about starting up a podcast. So kind of with a spin on why are we bullish, I thought we could do who is BTC sessions inferior to? I thought I'd invite some shitcoiners to kind of spice up the Bitcoin scene too. But so first guest I wanted to have was Vitalik Buterin for his ability to crush Ben in an arm wrestle. Next up, I'd have Udi, because he's just a more likable guy. Third on the list, I have Nick Carter, whose rising star is outpacing Ben's. And lastly, I have a Bitcoiner here, Stefan Livera, who pours a much better pint of beer. Not everybody will get that one. But where's that? Could I get the slide on the screen there? Yeah, this one's been up for most of the show here. It's kind of, we're allowed one shot for the roast here, and this happens to be my choice. So back when election time 2015, Ben was all on the Trudeau bandwagon. And of course, yeah, commie. And you notice I'm not in this photo because I was up in Fox Creek working nights the previous night, so it was freezing. Yeah. Extracting energy from the ground to keep you warm in the studio. And what does he do? He wears his high time preference novelty Justin Trudeau Christmas sweater, which I resented him for many years. So I'm glad I had the opportunity to come up here and talk about that. But no, to honor you, Ben, going from this to now, he's followed by probably our next Prime Minister, Pierre Poilievre, on Twitter. He's in communication with Daniel Smith, and he's completely switched opened the Overton window to the conservative side, I would say. So, no, thanks for doing that, Ben, and we love you, and just glad to be here, man.
That's probably fine height. Thanks, bro. Another round for Dave Hardman, everyone. All right. Next up, we have our token lady coming to the Bitcoin stage. Every Bitcoin conference kind of has like 100-to-1 male to female ratio. And so, as we've done, we have to throw in a woman just to prove that we're not just a bunch of tech bros that, as Nico and Ben like to say, touch tips. But as if our token woman wasn't enough, C-Funk here is going to give us the opportunity to check yet another one of our DEI boxes as our token furry. Because for some reason, she has taken the internet personality of a cat. And not just any cat, but a cat who spreads jokes and memes on the internet to, in her words, try to save humanity and increase Bitcoin adoption. What a time to be alive. Let's go, give it a round. And so, to you, C-Funk, I say thank you. And to everyone else, please welcome C-Funk, the Bitcoin internet pussy. Come on up.
I actually need the crate.
She's actually stepping up onto a crate right now.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
I would help you with workouts, but apparently that hasn't been working for me either.
So yo, I don't know for you, but 9 times out of 10, when I send a video of Ben, his tutorials to newbies, they'll be like, hey, thanks for the video, but yo, what's up with that guy's hair? So for years, what I've been, what? Yeah, for years, what I've been doing is reply with one GIF and one GIF only. You know, Cameron Diaz in that movie, There's Something About Mary with the hair gel. Yeah. It's like just hanging off of Ben Stiller's ear, and she grabs it and puts it on, and it just stands up straight like Ben's. Yeah, that GIF just brings up way more confusion to people. And ever since Nico also started to wear the same style, I've just been following up with them to links to Simply Bitcoin. And all my newbie friends are just like, is Bitcoin a cult? And is blonde tip some kind of Illuminati symbols for it? It probably is. Like, warning signs, but for the reals, there is a conspiracy in Bitcoin, and I want to bring it up, like, because I'm not just doing this for the lulz, I'm actually doing this because we need to be serious in Bitcoin for the reals. Everybody has heard about, say, lizard people controlling Bitcoin via Blockstream, woke-tards infiltrating Bitcoin core, US military intelligence watching every of our transactions. But I'm going to tell you the real thing of, you know, who is controlling Bitcoin at the core. And this is super important because nobody else is talking about this. So, like, I know we're joking, but for reals, there's a super secret organization called the High Council of Bens, and they control everything in Bitcoin. No, seriously, the puppet masters, Ben Perrin, Ben Gagnon, Ben Harper, Ben the Carmen, Ben Price, Ben Ark, Ben Justman, Ben Arskman, Ben DeWall, Ben Prentice, Ben Kaufman, and Ben Verrett. You see a pattern here? Yes. No, for the reals. There's evidence that suggests that all of their parents are part of the same cult that just worship Benz as the next leader of the New World Order under Bitcoin standard. And new parents are being recruited all the time. And you can easily spot them in Bitcoin because they're the only ones naming their newborns Ben. Steve Barber, I'm looking straight at you. Their plans are measured in centuries. So you're exposed.
I don't appreciate this leak.
Dude, if I disappear, you know who did it, okay? It was the Bens, and they've done everything in Bitcoin. Stainless steel versus cast iron fight. The Bens, okay? Bitcoin becoming a legal tender in El Salvador. The Bens. Segwit 2x failure to launch. You can thank these guys. So yeah, they're controlling everything. And I even hear that Ben Perrin is training all of the Bens to do a boys band of Ben. They want to subliminally indoctrinate us with sexy dance move and suave a cappella. Yeah, and we have video evidence of a crowd completely under their spell. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt. Oh,
I need it. Thank you. I don't know if it's better if you have sound or not.
Have the sound.
It's on.
It's a little homoerotic, you're not just imagining that. Yo, okay, so this type of bromance, this level of bromance is any girl who's dating a Bitcoiner needs to get comfortable with this level of bromance. because you're gonna just watch your man just watching hours of Ben's videos with just like a mesmerized look in his eyes, like, oh. And you can't help but wonder when you look at that, you're just like, what does he have that I don't? Don't linger on that question too much, ladies, because the answer is very intimidating. Yeah. So we're talking about a man who single-handedly does 100 push-up a day till 100K. Bitcoin gets to 100K, which is insane, while making videos for every product and services imaginable in Bitcoin and how to use them, shitposting on Twitter and Nostr, and living the jet set lifestyle of traveling all over the world. Like, seriously, how many hours in a day do you got? So yeah, please leave some for the rest of us, because being this freaking awesome, we're just thinking maybe you're just doing this to make the rest of us look bad. So we had to do this roast and just recollect every questionable moment in your career. Otherwise, you know, we'd hold a grudge eventually. Do I still have a few minutes? What? Okay, fun fact about Ben, he's also the only man in the history of humanity who has succeeded in a marriage proposal while momentarily having another woman's butt over his shoulder. How did that happen? Good question. Because he proposed in a flash mob with 80 people just dancing in the mall out of nowhere, and some of the movement of that dance was just taking a girl over his shoulder. I wish I could show the clip, but it was only one clip per roaster. Thanks, Yellow, for not showing up, so I could have this a few minutes additional. And yeah, you know that if your wife would have had anything to say about it, artistic direction, that would have been scratched.
It got banned from YouTube, but you can find it on Pornhub.
Yup. Very hot. I know I would have scratched that part 100%, and it's pretty funny because, you know, most of us girls, we sort of plan our own marriage proposal by, like, you know, subliminally, like, trying to say, this better happen or else, right? But yeah, in this case, we know that Ben did everything by himself. And yeah, I love this joke because, you know, I can tell which guy in the room is just trying to laugh but hold it in because he doesn't want to upset his significant other. So yeah, that last one was just for me. Thanks, Ben, for everything you do, bro. Thanks too.
Awesome. One more round of applause for C-Funk. Ooh, this is kind of nice all the way up here. I'm going to leave this here. Our next roaster, frankly, is a man that nobody knows enough about. Mostly because nobody actually knows who he is. When Shrek over there told me what the lineup was going to be, he was like, JP is going to roast. And I was like, whoa, this is pretty serious here. He goes, Nico is going to roast. And I'm like, okay, YouTube Bitcoiner, that makes a little bit of sense. He goes, I'm going to roast. And I was like, Bubbles, that'll guarantee some laugh. He goes, C-Funk, make sure it's not a sausage fest. I was like, okay, you've thought about this lineup. Hardman, childhood friend, that makes sense. And he goes, and Colin Sullivan. And I was like, what? The mint green guy? And he goes, yeah, he's super funny, he's quick-witted, he won the elevator Bitcoin pitch last year at the last rodeo. And I was like, well, I've met Colin a few times, often in Vancouver at the Bitcoin meetup there, but I didn't have any good roast material for Colin. And so, like any good Bitcoiner does, who needs reliable information, I went to the source of truth, Twitter. And do you know what happens to pop up when you search Colin Sullivan on Twitter? Oh, no. Not that, but that would be pretty funny. You don't have it? It's a 78-year-old doctor called Colin Sullivan. Frankly, I was expecting this roast to be brought to you by Mint Green and figured you just got a token microphone to be here as part of the deal. But for real, bro, where do you get your financial advice if it's not on Bitcoin Twitter? Anyways, I'm excited to hear what Colin has to say. Every time him and I get a chance to speak, he's always got new insights, challenges he has to overcome in the business, and I love hearing about the ones that he has overcome in the past. He's the man heating businesses and commercial spaces with Bitcoin miners. Please welcome the one, but not the only, Colin Sullivan.
Adam, you weren't alone in your confusion to get the invite. When, I'm going to use this just because, even taller. When Dave asked me, do you want to be part of the roast? My first question, of course, was why? And I did see there was some spreading around of the roasting, which I didn't expect. All of my material was originally for Ben. And that makes me sad because I had so much material for Dave. But the problem with making fun of Dave is he is so shameless. You're like wrestling with a pig in shit. You end up dirty and really weirded out, and he loves it. So the reality is, it's hard to have good material. First of all, that material is deep. I mean, it's what do you pick from? Those videos were extremely embarrassing. But I don't really know Ben enough to know about his cruise days, etc. Personally, we haven't had the opportunity to get together, and I don't listen to his podcasts, and I don't watch his YouTube, and I don't read his tweets, and I'm not sure if he has Instagram or not. So, it leaves me with a very shallow reference for insulting him, which of course always comes back to the skunk stripe he has there. But that is the deadest of horses and needs no more kicking. It is like a pulp of a horse at this point. So here's my, it comes down to physical appearance now, okay? Here's my roast. Your face reminds me of a lesbian outtake from Planet of the Apes. And the reason it was an outtake was because seeing an anorexic on the big screen is damaging to the impressionable minds of young women. We believe you're doing 100 push-ups a day, but just like how an ant can carry many times its weight, it's just not impressive when you do it. And now for someone who is one cycle away from being Carrot Top, JP Sears.
Are you done? Oh, great.
Sit down, redhead. For real though, I am actually a little bit nervous to come up here and introduce our next and final guest. He's actually funny and could probably do some damage if I overstep here. But then I was thinking about this and wrestling with what I was gonna say, and I realized he's actually just a stringy-haired ginger whose career is going in the wrong direction. I mean, he's spending the July 4th week here, the party of the summer in America, here in Calgary, with a bunch of Bitcoiners dunking on some blonde-tipped dancer. What went wrong that you ended up here? Other than your general appearance, of course. I mean, the poor man can't even afford a shirt that fits. To his credit, though, I will say that his self-sacrificing dry satirical comedy is one of the hardest forms of comedy to pull off. A nice way to stay humble. How very Bitcoiner of you. We have JP to thank for speaking out against the tyranny brought on by government officials in 2021 and 2022. Yep. JP spoke out against the vaccine mandates to 10,000 protesters in January of 2022. And it hits different when JP speaks out against the vaccine mandates. Let's go, shout out. But it does hit different when JP speaks out against the vaccine mandates. I mean, look at him, clearly the victim of plenty of vaccine injury. But in my research here, I was listening to JP describe his freedom journey. And as he said it, my notes are not that good here. And he said it was like having a child awoken the beast inside of him. But I'm still waiting to see this beast. But he says it's in there and we'll just have to believe him. But he says something really interesting that actually reminded me of something that we all say as Bitcoiners, something that is really important and profound. See, he was on this podcast that I listened to, he was holding his son, and he said, I don't want my son to grow up and have to explain to him what freedom was. I want him to experience what freedom is. And that, shout out, let's go. And that reminded me of something that we say as Bitcoiners, is that we don't stack Bitcoin for our first name, we stack Bitcoin for our last name. But unfortunately for JP Sears, his last name is synonymous with a bankrupt appliance store. So please join me in welcoming to the stage, JP Sears.
Oh, thank you. That's great. Which one of y'all's Ben? Yeah, this is great. I've never done comedy before. I just wrote a few things down. Hey, let's give it up for Adam one more time. He's the host. Hosting a roast isn't easy. Nobody makes it look harder than Adam. I had nothing to say about Adam, but the way he introduced me at the beginning, I wrote some things down. I started off just a bunch of wannabe comedians up here. Made me feel bad. Then he said, well, there's a YouTube comedian up here. Made me feel worse. Then he said, there's no real comedians up here. But it just made me empathize with Adam. I'm like, well, that must be how he feels when he's in the women's locker room changing for his swim meets, and they say, there's no real men in here. Let's see. Oh, yeah, but after Adam started the roast, 5 minutes into his first joke, no punchline, I realized there are no real comedians up here. Then I just wrote, fuck you, Adam, down. I don't know what that meant. It felt good. C-Funk, let's give it up for C-Funk one more time. Token woman. I didn't understand a fucking word you said. But based on how much you were laughing, it must have been good. It was good. Yeah, give her up. She did a good job, according to her. Then, of course, we have Dave Bradley. Look at this. We're brought together by our fearless leader, Dave Bradley. And I love the way you dress, Dave. It's kind of like if Brokeback Mountain met blockchain technology. Dave also claims to be the best-looking Bitcoin entrepreneur in Canada, which I think is ambitious. I love that he thinks that way. So it happens he's not even in the top 7 of best-looking people on this stage right now. He comes in at a solid number 8, though. Very strong. Very strong 8. I've also heard Dave say many times, if the societal systems collapse, he wants to be some kind of ruling warlord. I think that'd be good. Because, the world's never seen a warlord with Down syndrome before. It'd be kind of interesting seeing a warlord dressed like John Cena. He's just eating mayonnaise out of a jar, thinks it's peanut butter. I digress. Oh, Dave Hardman representing the KKK. Let's give it up for white supremacy. Ben, man of the hour. Let's give it up for Ben. He's being a sport about this. Now, if I could speak for all of us, I think all of us in the Bitcoin community enjoy getting consistent Bitcoin content that's insightful, it's informative, and it's put out there by a well-spoken, intelligent, good-looking man. And that's why we all love watching Robert Breedlove, who couldn't make it tonight, unfortunately. Here's Ben. I do think we need many different voices in the Bitcoin community to reach different people in all walks of life. And to me, Ben's kind of like the trailer park trash of Michael Saylor's. And I think he does that was definitely funnier in my head when I... C-Funk, can you do that laugh when... Now, you might not know this, but the reason why Ben has his blonde streak in his hair is just to remind the world that he still rollerblades. It's important to him, so it's important to me, and I think it should be important to you. And as Ben could probably remind you, what's the hardest part about rollerblading? Telling your parents you're gay. Ben's hair looks like it was mandated by Justin Trudeau. That's also a gay joke. When Ben goes to the hair salon, he walks in and says, "Just give me the lesbian softball player." And they do a good job. Now, also, from what I understand, Ben is very dedicated to keeping his hair dyed just to ensure his audience doesn't grow too big. Whoa, that's a lot more gay jokes I wrote down. Buckle up. Now, when I listen to Ben's show, I enjoy the 10 minutes of content he gives, and I enjoy the 45 minutes of advertisements. I've never seen anyone shamelessly hawk more stuff to his audience, other than myself. For a lot of people, when they watch Ben initially, they like Ben's expert delivery, and they start to wonder, what's his race? Is he just a really tan white guy or a real pale Mexican guy? Or is he an Indian that doesn't work at 7-Eleven? But after you keep watching him for a while, your mind starts to open. Then you also wonder, or maybe he's just a gay guy that doesn't try to hide it. That was also funnier in my head. There's a lot of these. The World Economic Forum has Dr. Noah Yuval Harari. I think Ben is the Bitcoin version of Harari, except he's a good guy. Because just like Harari, Ben's intelligent, he's a visionary, and also gay. You might also know Ben was a big supporter of the Canadian truckers, set up a node to accept Bitcoin donations, which give him a hand for that, for crying out loud. Ben was the man for the job. Nobody knows more about the needs of truckers with all the late nights he spent at truck stops. Oh, this one's dumb. Here we go. After I started listening to a little bit of Ben's content, I then found out he was in a boy band. Then I found out he used to be a dancer. Then I saw a picture of him, which made it all make sense. Ben's also the only 40-year-old guy I know who still wants to be in a boy band who's not a Catholic priest. And I think that's very unique, special. Oh, the priests molest a lot of fellas. If you're in denial, you made that noise. That's what they do. It's fine. By the way, I'm curious, a round of applause. Anybody in here defy the government and not get vaccinated just because you were told to? Just a round of applause. Medical freedom. To me, Ben looks like the kind of guy who during the pandemic, he made the choice not to get vaccinated, but he made the choice to get sodomized.
Was that a pandemic choice?
It was. We're all in this together, buddy. And then lastly, Ben looks like the kind of guy that puts milk on sandwiches. I don't know exactly what that means, but I wrote it down. Hey, that's it for me. I love y'all, and thank you, Ben. You're such a good sport, brother.
Thanks, man. Great job. Whew. How you feeling, buddy?
Fantastic.
Yeah, you look dumb.
Thank you for the drink. I appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, please one more round of applause for our roasters. Now, Ben, before you get up here, remember, everyone was pretty nice towards the end of their messages. It's kind of a common theme in the roasts here where you really, really dig it in the middle, but then towards the end, you give a stand-up applause. So one more round of applause for Ben here as well. And as is customary, we will give the last laugh to our roasted king here. So please, once again, give it up for BTC Sessions.
All right. Wow. I fucking love rollerblading. Shut the fuck up. So I was most disappointed as I was listening through some of the roasts, and somebody stole my joke about Colin, because I also wondered who the fuck is that. But upon then asking and then receiving the answer and still not knowing, I then said, can somebody give me some dirt on Colin, because I'm not going to bother looking anything up. And I did come to learn that, Colin, you're a self-proclaimed Bitcoin maximalist, correct?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, okay. Now, I have it on good authority that you are the owner, and I'm going to need you to confirm or deny this, but you are the proud owner of a crypto dick butt. Is that the case? Boo this man, ladies and gentlemen. Boo this man. I get it. I get it. C-Funk, I thought you did wonderful. It sounded like you did really wonderful. I want to say also, again, as alluded to, C-Funk, she masquerades on the internet with the avatar of a cat, which is very fitting, given she's the one in this roast whose final form is most likely to be that of an old, weird cat lady. Nico, of course, my brother in crime. We've been doing content for a minute together. I admire everything you do. Of course, there was an ongoing joke. So, like, behind both of us having the stupid hair, that was just an ongoing joke. He was like, "What would happen if we both had the same tip, and then if we touched them, would there be like a god candle, and Bitcoin would go to the moon and everything?" And we started joking, and then it came to fruition, and the talented Mrs. Sessions went and dyed his hair as well. Unfortunately, not nearly as good as mine. It doesn't look anywhere near as good. If I may, it is the BSV of hair streaks. So. And it needs a touch up. So, like, now that you know that, hopefully you still do it, because I still want to be known as there is no second best. Mr. Dave Hardman, longtime friend of 24 years. Yeah. So we've been around for some time. I will say that honestly, we're kinder to me than you should have been. So I appreciate that. You won some friend points there. Yeah, so Dave was grudgingly anti-Bitcoin back in the day. In fact, when I first got into Bitcoin, I started kind of doing my research. I spent a few months. I started buying a little bit of Bitcoin. And, as Bitcoiners do, you got to fucking tell every person you know once you get into Bitcoin. And then, of course, shortly after, the first week after I bought Bitcoin, they're all over the news, Mt. Gox had collapsed. Like the week after I started telling everybody how great Bitcoin was, it's like the biggest exchange on the planet, dead. And all the headlines were, Bitcoin has been hacked. And lo and behold, like I think it was like 3.5 seconds after that headline hit, I get a text message and it's Dave. And all it said was, it was a screenshot of the headline, and I hope you didn't buy any of this fucking shit. And that text message went on to haunt him for years afterwards because he neglected to get Bitcoin at like $200 a pop. Now, we did hear a little bit about Dave did get a little bit of Bitcoin at the BTC sessions that we hosted in downtown Calgary here. And, he was very standoffish about it. I got him to get a wallet. He grudgingly put some cash into the ATM and, got raked for like 30% from Adam. and then he got, some of that Bitcoin back and he had it on his phone. But I kept on telling him, dude, you got to back up your wallet. You got to write down these words. You got to back up your wallet. You got to write down these words. And I kept on saying, yeah, whatever, I'll do it. And then, of course, the hot tub incident where he just dropped his phone into the hot tub. But he couldn't own it. He couldn't leave well enough alone. Listen, I fucked up, dropped my phone in, my Bitcoin's gone. No, the Chinese hackers got it, didn't they, Dave? Didn't they? Now, low key, unbeknownst to Dave, I actually swept that shit way before and I finished my basement with it, so. All right, Mr. Dave Bradley, the man, the reason we're all here today. So let's give him a round of applause. What do I have to say about Dave? So, funny story. I was just backstage earlier, and actually, I was out in the lobby, and Dave comes up and he's like, "Yo, we're about to. There's a panel going on." I'm like, "I'm not on it." He's like, yeah, but are you going to announce it? I'm like, I can. What's going on? And he's like, well, you're the MC. And I was like, thanks for telling me. And so what I've learned about Dave is that he's one of the least organized, successful people I've ever met. Somehow, he just gets to this free pass of coasting through, and people are picking up the pieces behind him as he says what he would like to do, and then gets other people to do it. And case in point, even just backstage, lovely Lanny here. We need to give her a round of applause. Listen, come take a bow, Lanny. Please take a bow. She's the magician in the backstage doing all the work. You should have seen, again, Dave has this tendency of when we ask, should we do something? Should we handle this? Should we plan this in advance? Should we maybe work on this? He often says, yeah, it'll probably be fine. And more often than not, it actually is fine. But the reason that it typically is fine is because Lanny's in the background going, fuck, and fixing shit. So my toast here is to Lanny. Cheers to Lanny. Fuck you, Dave. And then, of course, we have Mr. JP Sears down at the end here. He was gracious enough to come up to Calgary, brave the cold, but it is, I feel like it's relatively familiar to you. It is kind of the Texas of Canada. You've been greeted very warmly through your sets. It's been wonderful. And I just got to say, like, it really touches my heart to see, again, the reemergence, the return to form of Carrot Top. I've really enjoyed seeing this. It's like your redemption arc. I'm very happy about it. So I'm very happy you could be here. And I want to jump to Adam here. And I just want to say, before I even say anything to you, it's been an honor to have you as a sponsor, and I'm sad to lose you. But again, Adam, if you haven't known, he's been actually making online content for quite some time. He's been doing a ton of different videos. I've seen, like, you did videos like, flaunting your Tesla, doing all kinds of great stuff. He's always trying to crack the code of internet fame. He's been doing it for years. He's been trying to figure out exactly what to do. And more recently, he started a channel with Julian, aka Kinetic Finance, who's awesome and super talented, and the beautiful Isabella. She's incredible, and yourself. And it seems like you may have actually cracked the code, and I think I figured out exactly what the code is. And the channel is Get Based. You should check it out. So the code for Adam to crack here was simply to surround himself with people much more attractive, talented, and tolerable than himself. It seems to have worked swimmingly. Now, I'm typically not a person to poke fun of others. I'm much more familiar with self-deprecation, and so I'm going to finish with a little bit of that. And so I want to. People always ask me, what is up with the hair? And so you guys today get to learn the origin story of the streak. And so let's go. This features the lovely Mrs. Sessions, who's been cringing through this entire thing. And so this was a few years back. It would have been somewhere around 2017, I think. After I locked that shit down and we got married, so she couldn't leave me. We were sitting and we were watching some TV at night, and we had some music videos on, and of course a boy band came on the TV. I definitely didn't pre-program that into the playlist, and it was One Direction. And one member of them, I can tell you their names because I know all of them, Zayn Malik himself had a streak in his hair. And I looked at that, and in my brain, I was like, that's pretty sweet. and then I leaned over to Lisa, and I was like, you know, I could totally pull that shit off. And I think her words to me were, please don't. Fast forward about 3 days later, the door to the house opens. I triumphantly step inside. She looks at me, and I just see a shade of disappointment that I've not seen in quite some time. And I go, and you know, it took a while for her to warm up to it, but now she realizes that this pays the bills. and she recognizes that you can't get rid of it now. It's kind of your thing, for better or worse. So here we are, and now I think her way of dealing with it is just bestowing that upon other people so that other wives can feel the exact same pain. So Nico, say a nice regards to your wife, Sophie. They're just gonna have to keep dealing with it. But with that, I do want to say to the entire panel here, to everybody that has joined in today, to everybody that's joining on the live stream, and to everybody in the audience, you know, everybody kind of mentioned that it is an honor to be roasted, and I do feel that despite what total assholes all of you are. But I thoroughly enjoy sharing the stage with all of you and building this bright orange future that we're all striving towards. I think that in the age of nihilism and everyone that we know having not a lot of hope, we've found the thing that has given us hope, and I don't think it's a mirage. I think it's as tangible as anything could ever be. And I think that we're seeing it in real time. We are living in that future we want to build, and it's just a matter of bringing everybody along with us. So thank you guys very much, and thank you all. Awesome. I don't know if are we just wrapping here? All right, we're out. Thank you guys very much. I don't know if anybody has anything else to say, but we'll see you out there.
We'll see you tomorrow.
We will see you tomorrow. What time are we starting tomorrow? 9:30. We'll see you tomorrow at 9:30. Thank you all.